Walking away, my beautiful wife left me without any notice at Thanksgiving. We had the typical dream life, 2 great kids under 8. We met in college, good jobs, hardly ever fought, good stability and finances. We had bought a second vacation home and were redoing our current home. I got an "I don't love you" followed by cruel and personal divorce notice from her attorney. She never warned me or talked about any marital issues until the week prior to this. She decided within a day she didn't want the house and has kept the kids 90% of the time. She backed out of a temporary agreement and now we are going to a hearing. Through this she has ruined our finances, losing our second home. A vehicle. Our primary home has been partially demolished in preparation for an addition and renovation. She had acted depressed and had strange sleep issues, but everything else seemed normal. Our best friend, a bad influence, recently moved near us and so on. My heart is broken, but I'm trying to move on. My STBXW is all about herself. Long list of complaints, most of which are very trivial, and others I don't even remember. Extreme weight loss, new look, and the kids say she basically ignores them for her phone and working out. She even forgets their meals. It's sad watching someone you love change or embrace their new self. Midlife crisis, whatever this is. I'm the only dummy probably dreaming she isn't having an affair, but as circumstantial evidence builds it seems ever more likely. Our community friends are abandoning her in droves, but she marches on without talking to anyone. No counseling, does not attempt a reconciliation, and only communicates when she wants or needs something. I'm trying to stay strong for my children and work as supportive as our friends. I never had one divorced friend. I had no idea how painful this could be, nor how cruel someone you've lived most of your life can become within hours and sustain it. I read and hear better days are ahead, but it seems so impossible to get there. Like so many here say, it's hard to watch someone you love to destroy everything and seem happy while their second life is their only focus. She remained in the house for a few weeks, though I was mostly away. She bought a new house immediately, family wealth, and is renovating. At first the communication was all a long list of complaints in person. Seems she wanted to get a lot off her chest. I have never argued or denied. I agreed with some, most of it. Housework, laundry, more appreciative. Yet I gave her flowers, complimented her. Nice vacations for family, etc. I have pointed out some of her flawed logic for the future. She thinks she will have the kids for every holiday, all summer. She is under the illusion she controls our kids for whatever reason. Now I get minimal communication regarding things with the children or bills. She's walked away from almost all the bills. We don't have any agreement in place, so I don't want to ruin our credit. She seemingly has a never-ending source of money, but ran down our accounts and left 2 months of bills with my first check 2 weeks away. I am doing everything I can for the kids. I did everything wrong at first. I begged, went to counseling, asked her to do so, did everything I could to make her comfortable, get things out of the house. Boxes and boxes of food, etc. I've been civil. Nice. Never argued, listened, been berated, taken it. I'm trying the 180 now, but she's fixated on herself anyway. The last 2 weeks communication has mostly ceased unless she needs to clarify something or warn, ask me to pay a new bill. Just try to do your flex and medical allocations with this going on. She had new hair, perfume, and so on the other night when she dropped off the kids an hour late. Continues to lose weight too. I complimented her on looking nice and got yelled at for 5 minutes for saying that. She denied she looked nice. Okay, and it was none of my business if she was dressed up. I don't have proof of anything, just a lot of small things, texts, etc. Gaps in time, etc. hard to prove but seem to keep adding up. I have not done a real investigation, but I'm in a no-fault state and it won't matter anyway. Would to me, but in my heart I know. I should say, like probably a lot of husbands, I can see some of her points about me. There is no doubt I was not perfect. On the other hand, her criticisms went from minor to major and very lengthy, going back to when we dated over the next few weeks after I was informed. I never drink, yell, scream, fight, love my wife and kids, solid community guy, we have tons of friends. But like so many say, my self-esteem is shot at this point. I know it's about her, but all she talked about was awful me. I caused her to leave. I know intellectually it isn't true, it's just a way to control the narrative and justification of an emotional divorce, but convincing myself at night is a new thing. If you are reading, imagine your life, your kids, dog, activity, and now it's gone. Some of you are ahead of me. I never had an inkling. I have to focus on my children and my health. I know I'm cracking up, not eating, not sleeping, and so on. I am starting the divorce care classes and am in counseling. I'm working out, friends are trying. Some of the help isn't help, but hearts are in the right place. She tried to pull some fast ones at our church, child support calculations and temporary custody. That is scratching the surface. Last night my kids called at 9 p.m. The youngest is 5. They still hadn't had supper and they normally are in bed at 8:15. It's just killing me. Yes, I'm documenting. I am in counseling and trying to move forward. It's a slightly better every day the last week or so. The past 2 times in person I've seen her were the first 2 times I wasn't sure I wanted her back. She's just so beautiful on the outside, but what comes out of her mouth is filth. I have hung up on her politely and asked her to leave. We will have, depending on her, either an easy or hard time separating. With some mixed marital assets, we can part about even if I take all the debt. If she tries to undo her marital assets that we have paid taxes on together for 20 years, it will be more difficult. She never researched how custody works. She seems to genuinely believe she is entitled to every holiday, birthday, break, full summer. There has been no reasoning or amicable approach. I only got a few days over Christmas break because I let it slip that though I want the kids all I can, I'm just documenting how punishing she's being with their time with me for the judge. The next day she offered more time in an email. It has been tough. We lost a friend to suicide a day after I got the "I don't love you," and she wouldn't even talk about, go to the funeral, or ask me how I was. She switched to a church I wanted to go to with the children. Went a few times and got an affidavit she attended church. She's done another dozen things that don't bear mentioning. I worry for her. I see a lot of clinical indications of mental illness, but there isn't much I can do about it until it more seriously manifests. My lawyer isn't attentive, but he was recommended and who take my case first. I have the temporary hearing and will go from there if I don't like his performance. It's hard to believe in a fair, but I do have to look harder at it. Either way equals she is gone. But as a friend told me, it may not matter in court, but it will in the court of public opinion. In some ways I think it is more logical to have an emotional than physical affair, but it's probably my ego. Psyche trying to protect me. I'll try to stay on the high road. It will do no good anyway. The folks supporting me are top-notch, so that's a plus. Anyone has a tip on phone calls? We've made sure the kids call every day, but my youngest didn't want to talk tonight. Lots of family, cousins where she was at. Broke my heart when my kids haven't even wanted to call mom. I made them. She has lost a ton of weight. In the last few days, she didn't have the girls fed by 9 p.m. and was napping all afternoon today. Just strange. I feel like I'm in a coma and should wake up, but I never do. I've got to stop looking at Facebook. Her feed had pics of my children and a few nieces with labels "Family Christmas." Of course, I wasn't there. Dang, like reliving Christmas all over again. We've had some recent tugs over moving possessions out of the home. I want to move on and not pressure her, but she's upset I'm boxing up her stuff she left here. A lot of it is clothes, meds, etc., along with most wedding pics, albums, dress, etc. I thought I was being nice, found out different. At our first legal skirmish, I'd estimate we spent 5-6K between us. Unreal what divorce attorneys cost. And she settled for basically what I asked for the day she left as a temporary arrangement. It's hard to battle, deal, or communicate with the irrational. The further I get into this, the better off I'm starting to feel without her. Unfortunately, I feel like this is destroying our children, and there is little I can control except being as good of a dad as I can be. It's hard to rewire the brain quickly. I felt like celebrating over the first legal skirmish. First thought, I should call the wife and we go out tonight. Oops, she's what brought me here. Her fog and fairytale should be lifting now. That's the evil in me I try to tamp down. Now she gets to go sometime without the kids. It's so difficult navigating events, ball games, common friends, and so on. Our girls struggle not seeing us together at these things. I look at how different I've become in only a few months. Like so many, I wish I had done this before, but it's hard to replay the game. Communication is a nightmare. Whatever I do is wrong, but I've stopped almost all contact except for the children. She certainly has, except for once. It's hard to be rational with the irrational. I've come to understand her view and mine of the past are so different. It doesn't matter at this point anyway, but it hurts to see how far off from reality she was or is. I did a little work, but she has such a sheer volume of numbers it's impossible without a pie. Part of it is the nature of her job and activities. She has thousands of texts a month. I tried to find a pattern but can't say I did. There have been some unexplained absences, and she cut off so cold and hard it seems to make sense. Family and a friend are also working hard behind the scenes. I've worked hard on the 180, but she's sucked me in a few times. As so many say, everything and anything I do is wrong. Figured that out quickly. Good news, I'm working hard on me and hit a big weight loss milestone this week, working out. I think the toughest things are my girls don't even want to call mom at times. She's not feeding them or getting them to bed on time. Sleeping with the young one every night, just not the mom she used to be. I wonder if her family sees this. I doubt it. Many of her friends have peeled off too. In person, she's developed huge tics, no control of her emotions, lots of personalities at once. Kind of like all the things she used to exhibit, but vastly heightened. One thing about it, after reading legal briefs for the hearing, it's clear we lived on different planets. Interestingly, she must not have been that confident in her planet considering she settled as our case was called. I have spent the time to go to counseling, research some of the things she said, and can honestly say there are things I did wrong, but in the whole, she said I did things that simply aren't true. But it doesn't matter. I know it's for her justification and narration to family and a few friends. Thank God some of my friends and people outright laughed when I shared some of her hurtful comments. People that have seen us at our best and worst. Our children are really starting to suffer. It's hard to hear an 8-year blame her mother for ruining our family and my 5-year-old ask if mommy has a boyfriend or new husband yet. I was shocked they think I shouldn't be alone. If mommy left, I should get a girlfriend. This is too warping most days for me. None of my friends have been through this. They look at me like I'm broken glass. I know I've wallowed in suffering, but it does feel like I'm turning my ship ever so slightly. Interestingly, a pastor shared with me that people have an external and internal voice and conscience. Kind of the idea that people's inner voices and outward action can be going the same direction, or not. For example, you see yourself as a family person, going to the future, etc. On the inside, the voice is telling you to go the other way. One day for same people, the inner voice takes over the direction and the outward follows. His explanation for walk-away wives. That, extreme weight loss, mega weight loss pills, new hair. Lack of kid interest except for child support. Unexplained absences. Not responding to important texts, sick child, etc. Something has her interest. We live where she grew up, so that possibility is much easier to believe. I am doing my best on no contact. At first, she ruled me with the children, but I did win a partial victory with more work to go. One of the things I've read talks about how MLC spouses don't see history the same way. That is definitely true in this case. My children see it too. I try to have the cardinal rule with my children not to speak ill of their mother. But it sure is tough if they are asking out of the blue if mommy has a boyfriend. She sure works out a lot. Has quit cooking, etc. My oldest daughter had a tough weekend. Finally, she opened up tonight. I know she wrote some letters for her mom. I told her if she couldn't talk to write. She told me she blames mom for all of this. Mom doesn't care about her or our family. Apparently, Sunday school had some lessons on family today too, so that was hard on her. I did not ask for the letters to mom. I know my daughter has a lot of hostility right now. She talked about friends in school divorce kids and they are telling her good and bad things. Man, my heart can't take this. I've hoped for the fairy tale ending, but that horse left the barn. In some ways, probably my ego talking. I'm not as sure of an affair as I'm sure she wants an affair, and this will make it easier. I know her best friend, habitual philanderer, wants her out on the prowl with her. Thanks for the support. My toughest days now are those without the children. I have them just slightly less than half-time, but that is a long week in between their time with me. That's when I feel myself coming apart. I'll never understand someone that never talks about problems in a marriage and cuts all ties in a heartbeat. The children say she has never talked to them about any of this. How they are doing, how they are feeling, etc. She won't look any of our friends in the eye. I hear stories every day from someone that just tried to say hi and she'll keep her head down, cross the street, walk the other way. When she's with family or friends in public, then she's a chatterbox with those around her. But I hear she acts like she's 10 and her mother is 30 when they are together. Mother has her under her thumb. Whatever is going on, there is a lot of shame. All I know is I can't watch a show, read a book with the kids, or get away from thinking about it. We went to the park. Everyone there is a mom, dad family but us today. It's just like everything is a reminder. My crying has started to curtail. I still haven't broken down for a bender. I'm sticking with working out. Most friends are hanging in, contemplating an attorney change, too expensive and non-communicative. The real war lies ahead. It's just battles so far. I did get a laugh out of the few weeks she remained in the house. It was "I'm not coming after you" over and over, meaning the kids, money, etc. Yeah, right. It didn't last long. I'd hate to see her if I'd walked out if this isn't coming after me. I blew it. Got hit up out of the blue for a huge request from her. Like a dummy, I got sucked into a long phone conversation. Gave her almost all she wanted and immediately realized I'd been duped the next time I saw her in person. I have to tattoo 180 somewhere. I don't have the liquid resources and trying to mediate. She's afraid she has things at risk, and so do I. I did win in court, so that was a plus. She's getting her stuff and good riddance. I had an appointment today off the subject of divorce and it was kind of interesting. Nice to hear from them. I'm regarded as a great guy in town, good person, good dad, good husband, and my wife is seen a lot differently than she was a few months ago. I almost felt bad for her. It's good to hear people talk so nicely. Doesn't mean it's true, but it does help me build myself back up. My counselor and a friend that does it for a living have been great. They've just seen this too many times and know that when a woman or man gets on this track, it's a runaway train and their anger is the fuel. Eventually they run out of fuel, but it's usually too late. Found out she's had a burn phone for a while today. Surprise. Found out after child called me on it because mommy was on her other cell phone. I know I have to be a better man, husband and father. I have been very introspective and trying to come out of the other side a better person. This is not a grueling trip I wanted to take, but I have been put upon the road whether I want to walk this path alone or not. This whole breakup, on a multitude of levels, has no logic, and I'm a logical person. It's like trying to do a puzzle but the pieces are from 10 different boxes. I just can't do it. The worst is my children. I can't stand to be apart from them. I can look at my marriage, in-laws, wife and see that I deserve to be with someone that loves, faults and all. Yet, the prospect of finding her or vice versa seems so unlikely right now. I will keep on the 180, counseling and getting better every week. I've found every day doesn't work. 2 steps forward, 1 back, 1 forward, 2 back, 3 forward and 1 back and so on. A pastor told me that people have inner voices telling us our secret thoughts. Other voices tell us what we should do, what is moral, acceptable. In some, the inner negative voice wins, and with my wife, this seems to make sense. I think she is finally getting the love she wanted from her mother too because of this. Seems odd but a piece of the puzzle. My girls have looked at me a few times this weekend when they know I'm grinding on things I'm trying not to around them, and told me, "You are a good dad, don't be sad dad. We know mom wanted to leave the family." Mouths of babes. On one hand, it's great they pick those things up, and I beat myself up because they do pick those things up. I'm amazed they tell me mom never ever talks about anything or asks how they are doing. She's enjoying life, money, new house, new clothes, my money, fun, I think, and so on. And I was thinking this was the best year of the rest of my life a few months ago. Now I live in a destroyed house, lost additional property, kids having struggles, finances shot. Retirement next, downgraded vehicles. Can barely keep going at work. I had no idea divorce could be this awful and sure had never dreamt of it. As a child of divorce, I never ever wanted my kids to be in this situation. I was called a horrible dad and emotional abuser last week for the 2nd time. Total BS on the horrible dad, and I asked if she looked up emotional abuse and what factors I fit. After stammering, I controlled her. I asked in what ways, she wasn't sure. I said, "You did the finances. You went wherever, whenever with whoever you wanted," and I never even gave it a second thought. I didn't love her family. Her family is dysfunctional and disintegrating. So, I know cognitively she's wrong, yet it hurts and I second think myself. My counselor said typically emotional abusers tend not to be as introspective as I am and so on, but it's hard to not grind on that label. I know it's BS, but it's hard to not blame myself and feel a tremendous amount of guilt. Thank God so many friends tell me it's all BS. No way did I cause anything or create problems in my marriage. But I also know I did do things too and could be a better dad and husband. I have to work on me and be a better person. Of course, anything is perception, justification, narrative and so on. Nothing I can control there, but it sure hurts. It makes no sense, but my heart wants her back worse now than ever and my brain wants her back less now than ever. I think a huge component is the children. I was at a game the other night and the kids were introduced for parents' night. Many of the kids had parents with different names. It just went through me like a laser. Then wrestling with putting separated on our relationship on Facebook. Don't know why, seems hard or wrong to do. Seems like she should do it. I went ahead and marked separated. Then wanted to go back and not do, and FB doesn't let me, so it's done. Actually, feels good today. Her account still shows married. Took the girls to church. Mom could have come but didn't show. I could hear the girls asking where she was yesterday and this morning on the phone during their call, but she wouldn't tell them. I guess she really misses them. Hard on the kids more than anything. I am doing everything for me and my children. Just shows me the custody fight never had anything to do with the girls, just the check. And another unexplained absence out of town. Actually, she has disappeared off FB and that was her big thing at night. I think it has been painful for her to see how her friends have abandoned her in droves. The only people commenting on anything she put up were her family members. She's barely contacting me and I her. Contact occurs only about kids and when she wants something. I try to go days, not minutes without replying if I can. No love to me. Heck, she was mad I boxed up her stuff and put it on the porch. I was shocked she only took major household stuff this week. I wanted her to take it all. Half. But now I have to do one more time in a week or so. I'd say more, but it would narrow me down so much. All she has worried about is her new house and I think the boyfriend, but I've never proven it. The big outside influence on her is a wealthy family getting her back. She's been out of their clutches off and on for 20 years. She is back with them for one reason: money. They are financing her escape. I only hit separated because we have not divorced. She seems to want one as fast as possible. I'm sure many of us have in-laws or know people that think the world only works their way, and with wealth often it does. The shock of me getting almost half the kids' time rocked them a bit, and they know I'm coming. I did have to laugh reading Discovery from her about how I'll handle the children's religious upbringing. She's went to church 3 minutes 4 times in a year, all but one with her mom. Yeah, makes sense for her to bring that up. I believe more and more there is a man, simply because what kind of mother wouldn't want to see her kids in church if she hadn't in a week? Makes no sense unless romance involved. I don't know whether to puke or cry thinking about it. She called her best friend within minutes of getting off the phone with her daughters to say she was with family out of town. Yeah, right. She couldn't tell her daughters that. Love to see her outed, that's for sure. And the daughter calls me this morning. Daddy, we had an awesome time last night. Yeah honey, what did you do? Mom let us stay up until after 10 p.m. and it was a school night. We even got to watch a new movie Mom bought us and we didn't even brush our teeth. Bedtime on school nights is 8:15 p.m. I guess my wife felt guilty about the weekend. Isn't it supposed to be the dad as Mr. Fun and the mom as the strict one? Another day to document something my wife would have never done a few months ago. In strange news, I had a lady chat me up at the gym yesterday. She was very nice, not that attractive, but really sweet. Then I had a gal chat me up at a sports bar last night. She hinted around wondering if I'd be back at the same bar at the same time next week or maybe we could meet up. I told her I was going through a divorce. That didn't even faze her. I declined but said maybe down the road when I'm back to having my feet under me and my head clear, but I might be in on a Monday night now and then. I'm in my mid-40s and her in her early 30s, very nice looking. Then I had a female acquaintance that got divorced last year call out of the blue and talk until after midnight. I'm sure not ready for anything, but I have to admit it felt kind of good. In sad news, one of my best friends from college is getting divorced. Wow, 21 years later and a month or so apart. How crazy. That person was left too. Sad news, but at least their children are out of high school now. What the hell do these people think? Goddamn selfish people. Where are their friends, parents, etc.? Someone today told me to look at my wife's best friend and her mother. That tells you who she is. Interestingly, she wasn't them for 20 plus years, but she is today. Her warning, she said, was 5 years ago when our second child was born. By that, I mean 2 months after the baby was born, and she said it one time one night. I honestly thought it was postpartum depression. That is the only time in 21 years she expressed any significant level of unhappiness. She also said she wouldn't consider counseling because I told her at that time I wasn't interested in it. Honestly, I don't remember talking about it. It was more of I came home from work, she was in a rage, hadn't slept the night before, and talked about being overwhelmed and leaving. I hadn't thought of that night in 5 years. She did make comments about not being appreciated or thanked, rarely but a few times a year. I gave my wife jewelry, surprised her with flowers, gave thoughtful gifts, and we were regularly intimate, and excitingly so. Not vanilla. I had 5 huge boxes of flower vases in the house from over the last 15 years that she had kept. She commented about struggling with the house and cabin, and I suggested we hire a cleaning lady. I was wrong. I should have done more. At times, not often, she talked about being a little overwhelmed with her schedule. I suggested she cut back on some of the things she was doing. In all honesty, she was trying to do too much for too many, not to mention her kids and family. Through all of this year, her family has had an incredible amount of. In late October, she wanted more time for herself. I suggested she use our family college tickets to a football game so she could go with friends. She often went out with friends, book club, etc. She was not tied to the house. She told me she should have communicated her dissatisfaction and numbness to our marriage. She said she was tired of changing for me. I had no idea what I was making her change, and still mostly don't. She said she didn't want to work on anything because when we dated 25 years ago, I said I didn't want to be a couple that broke up and got back together. If anything, I did ask her to change. The major sign was going to sleep early and sleeping far too much on weekends. I didn't realize she was avoiding me. She said it was for working out early and being healthy. In September, she started to lose a tremendous amount of weight, and I started asking about depression. She would not tell me she was on a very expensive high-caffeine weight loss pills. I have spoken to doctors, and this was probably a cause of the strange sleep and other habits that started to manifest then. At least part of it. We had bought a second home last spring debt-free. She told all of her friends and me into November this was the best summer and year of her life. I've had 20 people tell me this since she left. We started a 100K house remodel, expansion. We were talking about me taking a better job, out of the area, and I think this might have been a problem looking back. She wouldn't have been 20 minutes from her mother. More like 2 hours. The family thing cannot be overstated. She had an ugly year. I'm trying not to engage. I asked her to consider mediation, and I was supposed to get a response yesterday, and did. I did, however, receive a couple of things in the mail, and we live blocks apart now. Odd, but okay. It's a good idea on the calling. It would be tough to do that though. We have just never answered each other's phone calls since she left. She started this. If I've wanted to talk to her, it's taken as many as 3 times to get her to take the phone from the kids. She will hang up, I call back, etc. I haven't even tried in a month, nor do I want to. I do think they should call at least once. I have the common courtesy to make sure the girls are together, focused, and if they don't bring up calling, I give them 5 minutes lead time to think of stuff they want to say or ask. She often has them call from grocery stores while she is with family and they are distracted by cousins, etc. Call right before they will lose a tower. She knows this drives me nuts. I won't fight back like this though. I will keep the high road. My wife, until a few months ago, I thought was fantastic. Just a far too typical hover parent. I hope she's just in a phase of stress, move, etc. Time will tell. I definitely want split and worry what she is going through. I'm certain with medical backing she did or has had some type of mental break. How significant is hard to determine. This is based on decision-making, fast speech patterns, not remember facts as facts, odd behaviors as a mother. Isolating herself from anyone but her mother, etc. I'm not a mental health professional, but numerous friends of ours are. I actually got asked out last night to meet someone to eat. Apparently things have changed since the 1980. I semi-declined. I left it for some time in the future. I would not be a guy I would want my daughter to date right now, and I don't want to inflame the divorce further. I am lonely and miss companionship. I'm working out, taking the divorce care classes, attending church regularly, going to IC, reading, participating here. I may not end up a better guy, but I want to try. The lady was very kind and said she wanted to be friends anyway and I could use one. I could. This person is someone that is a friend of a friend type of thing. Nice lady. If I understand an emotional versus a logical divorce, I think that is what my wife is doing. A lot of circumstances came together at once and she felt she had to leave me. I was pushing hard on her sleep and wanting a better marriage. I told her I didn't want to be roommates. She turned that recently into me saying she was a roommate to me. Lots of little twists like that from her mouth and pen. Her family was in disarray and I think they saw an opportunity to get her back. I do think she is having some type of relationship, emotional and or physical. Her best friend is a train wreck that moved back to the area and they spent a ton of time texting and calls. 90 minutes, 60 minutes, 100 texts a week before she left. Plus, I know I can be bullheaded. I was focused on her changing and I thought we had a 9 out of 10 marriage. I really had no idea that our marriage was in jeopardy. I thought we did need to talk and couldn't get her to do so. When she did, she had already planned the divorce. The hardest part for me is we had and I have a very large group of friends and acquaintances. Only one has ever expressed to me that they saw it coming. My wife had told her a few months ago she was numb to the marriage and wanted a new life. She told the friend I was too controlling. My wife did the finances. She went all over the state coaching, sports, friends. I never checked up on her. Asked her a ton of questions, etc. I should have supported her at one public event this year and I didn't feel well and didn't go. I should have soldiered it. I know, long answer. My wife won't even speak to any of our friends. She will be polite if they try to talk to her and usually walk away or quickly get away. I am a lost person who lost the love of his life. I don't mean to have her on a pedestal. She was at times frigid, not affectionate in small ways and wanted things her way. She loved control of the family. She also has a high level of OCD, but I'd learned a long time ago to roll with it. On one hand, I want her to be free to chase whatever this happiness is she wants. On the other hand, she should have communicated or did a lot better job of talking about the possible demise of a marriage with little kids involved. I won't figure it out and it doesn't matter. I do think another guy whispered in her ear. She is the euphoria of that, losing weight, finding false happiness, etc. I think guilt is racking her soul too. As a mediator I talked to said, your wife has purchased or renovated 3 homes in 8 months. That is not normal or rational behavior on any level. It speaks of her need for some new security in the second half of her life and a major depression she thinks she can spend her way out of. Who knows? All I knew is I haven't seen my kids since Monday morning and I'm dying inside the more I'm without them. Some of it is about her, but I think in a few years I'll probably have a significant other and another set of kids to look after that aren't my own. If I can make it, I'm hanging onto the cliff like a rock climber right now. My comment, I love the fact that OP doesn't focus on the other man. The first correct step is focusing on yourself. We will see how this develops in part 2, which is coming very soon. Sub and let me get back to part 2.